Benzino, welcome back.
What's good, Vlad?
Everything good, man. Everything good. You looking healthy? You know what I'm saying? You been working out?
Yeah, staying in the gym, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, got to, man.
Hell
In
yeah.
our age range, too many
Hey.
of our legends are falling off. I mean,
Yeah, man.
dying.
Yeah, man. I be up in that gym on a regular. It's the only thing that keeps me sane nowadays.
I got you. I see you've been going through some drama recently.
Yeah, but everything cool though, you know what I'm saying? Everything
Okay.
good.
Now, you had a baby recently.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. And it seemed like as soon as you had the baby, you and Althea just started going at it. I mean, really, she started going at you more in terms of what I saw.
I mean, honestly, Vlad, I really don't want to talk too much about it. It's like a real hard time for me right now. I love my son, and you know what I'm saying, I love Althea, and hopefully everything will work its way out. This is her first child, so sometimes you get postpartum. From what I understand, the emotions get crazy and things happen, but ultimately, I still want to keep my family together and try to work everything out, and hopefully, with the grace of God, that'll happen.
Well, new couples, I mean, new parents always go through a problem, an adjustment in the beginning. You talk about the whole postpartum thing. A woman just gave birth, her hormones are going crazy, her body has changed, and so forth. But ultimately, it's really not about you, it's not about her, it's about the baby.
Yeah, it's about Zeno, no doubt.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's really not about nothing else. So, I mean, have you been able to really, both of you guys, take a step back and say, look, like if we continue to keep doing this, the biggest loser is going to be our son.
Well, everything gets polarized in the media. It's not as bad as everybody thinks, you know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, Zeno's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's, it looks a lot worse than it is, so, he's okay. Everything will be fine, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, what I'm saying? I'm just trying to stay busy, keep the crab trap open. I got some new ventures going on, that's about to happen. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Things are moving forward for me. So, I've been through so much, Vlad, you know what I'm saying? It's just, things happen, you know what I'm saying? I try to keep my personal life private. It's hard to do that, especially when you're on reality TV and with the media and everything. But you know what I mean? Like, as long as I'm moving forward and I'm progressing, everything's fine. Zeno's gonna be fine. Everybody's gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be good.
I mean, what do you think it'll take for you two to really go back to being parents again and really,
I mean, we ain't never gonna
stop
stop being. We ain't never gonna stop being parents, regardless of what happens. That's not gonna. That ain't gonna stop. Zeno has two loving parents, so that, regardless of anything, that's not gonna change. You know what I'm saying? Okay. She's an amazing mother to Zeno, and I love him to death, and I consider myself a really great father. I'm very involved with my kids, so that's not gonna change. Zeno gonna be all right. He's always smiling and laughing anyways, and he's so young. He doesn't really know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, with the media, everything gets polarized and gets kind of blown out of proportion. Things happen, man, and I just want to keep it positive in a positive direction, man. These bloggers sometimes can be real mean and nasty, you know what I'm saying? And, my thing is, like, if we're gonna talk about Black Lives Matter, I think we need to kind of figure out and readjust the way we report on Black lives. I think, we're under this conclusion that no press is, all press is good press, even bad press. And I think for the black culture, I don't think that's true. I think we're stereotyped and we get a bad rap on everything. I think the more good press that we get and the more positive stuff that is reported, I think that can help the culture in our communities better, especially with celebrities. I mean, if celebrities are the ones that a lot of these people kind of look up to and they're being entertained, to always trying to, print when stuff goes wrong and never when all the great stuff that's happening that celebrities do, I think that's not fair, you know what I'm saying? But, I think, if you're gonna scream Black Lives Matter, but you're constantly, shitting on people in your blog, on African American people at that. And if you're African American, you know, I think it's a little hypocritical. You know, I understand that people like to kind of read about the bad and the drama, but we got to change that. We got to change that way of thinking. Like, you know, we can't always try to bask in somebody's demise or somebody's problems. You know, we're all human beings. We're all going to go through different situations in our life. And, you know, things happen. And the next day, you know what I'm saying, you just try to fix it and make it work, you know, and try to make whatever went wrong right. So I just think moving forward, I think there has to be a responsibility on the bloggers' behalf on how they report nowadays, especially now, like, you know, our communities with this election coming up, you know, and it's not just a matter of, yeah, you know, police and black people. It's a matter of black people and killing each other and, you know, loving each other and hating each other and, you know, unifying. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that we're not really addressing, you know, the economy and how it affects us, jobs, you know, the minimum wage, you know, so, I mean, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I've been around a long time and I've been in the media, and of course I'm on both sides. I'm an artist, I'm a TV personality, but I've also been Hip Hop Weekly and the Source magazine, so it's the double-edged sword, so I kind of understand it. I just think that the way it's been, it needs to be changed. We need to adjust it. It doesn't have to, just because things are one way, it doesn't mean that they have to be that way forever. And if we're gonna adjust this thing that's gonna help us, then I think we have to look at all the factors and all the levels of why Black lives should matter.
Sure. Now, you know, before you were in media and TV and everything else like that, you were in the streets.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I was 5 years old. I was always been a hustler. I was in a project 5 years old. I was getting rocks outside, painting them, selling them for $1. Then 7, 8 years old, my mom told me how to bake cakes. I sold cakes in the projects. I sold baseball cards, lemonade stands, and then by the time I hit 13, 14, I was selling crack, weed, and heroin. And, you know, I was a hustler. My father was a hustler. You know, I kind of took that road he took. Then, of course, met Dave, and I entered the whole business world with the magazine and brand management and TV and the Source Awards and Source Hip Hop Hits, and was very successful as far as business and in the legal type of ways of getting money. And now, you know, I have a restaurant. That's a whole new venture for me. And, you know, I've always been a hustler. You know, I've always been one to go out there and get it, no matter what. And I adjust myself with the moment. So, you know, with me, it's just really about adjusting to the time and staying current, staying relevant, you know, and not, you know, getting so out of touch with the youth or out of touch with what's going on in pop culture. I think that's important.
Well, you mentioned you started selling crack at 13 years old.
Yeah, I was in the streets at 13, man.
I mean, when you talk about that game, when you talk about the cocaine and crack game, you're talking about a lot of violence. You're talking about murder. You're talking about a lot of losses. I mean,
Wow. I mean, I've seen it all. You know, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. Violence, murder. I've seen guts, you know, bones, you know, blood. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I think we don't take into consideration how that probably affects us. I'm sure it's affected me some way, like it's affected everybody else. But you learn to live with it, and you learn to deal with it. You know, I'm sure there's some bipolar in there somewhere. I'm sure there's some things going on, like the same situations with Vietnam vets and what they go through. I think people don't understand how the kids out here and what we've been through in the streets is almost like the same thing. You know, so you learn to live with it, and you learn to adjust yourself, like I said, as you go. You don't have time to like go to or money at that point, you know, to be trying to find a counselor or a psychiatrist. You know, nobody deals with that. And I don't think psychiatrists really understand anyways, a lot of what we go through. So, you know what I'm saying, Vlad, you just deal with it as you go along. The thing is, because I've dealt with it, I got 4 kids now, and I got 2 boys, one 22, will be 23, and then, you know, my son 13 and my daughter 19, you know. I went through that so they don't have to. And I'm kind of old school, so I don't, what I'm saying, like I could be definitely the buddy with my kids, but I still got to be that strict voice, what I'm saying, and that stern type of voice to them that lets them know that this ain't the way to go, and it's not, and it's not good. And I have to instill values in them: responsibility, discipline, patience, kindness, and things that they don't, things that I was screwed up growing up in. You know what I'm saying? So that they can have it a lot more smoother. I mean, that's the most important thing, is to, whatever I went through, is to give it to them to make sure that they don't go through.
Yeah.
And instill in them the type of character of person that I think will lead them to success later on in life.
Well, being in the streets, you're dealing with cops all the time. Whether, clearly you don't want to, but you have to, deal with the police presence in terms of trying to do what you do. Like, what do you think was your worst experience dealing with police?
Listen, most of my worst beatdowns came from police.
Really?
Oh yeah, I got my nose broke. I mean, I've fought with police a lot. You know what I'm saying? Get pulled over. I mean, I got dragged through a mall at Braintree Mall in Boston and maced and beat up. I've been roughed up by police a few times. Of course, when they approach you and they're real aggressive and they're real, nasty, that's what they get back. And then, then that's when the situation happens, and it hasn't stopped. What's going on with the police has been going on for years. But the flip side is, if I'm out there and I'm doing something illegal, then what can I expect? If I'm on the corner and then the police are coming, then I'm running, and then they're chasing me and they might catch me and throw a couple of blows. I mean, really, what really can I expect if I'm out there and I'm doing something illegal? So I'm being a realist about it. The flip side is, I think the police do a real horrible job at evaluating who they hire. Sometimes there's an old saying, like, if anything else fails, you could be a cop. And it's like, I mean, really, I think the evaluation process needs to be looked at, because they're just hiring anybody without looking at their background to see what type of organizations they belong to or what they believe in, see what type of race relations they've had in their life. I think the police need to be hired based on what the community is, meaning if the community is 75% black, then the police force shouldn't be 85% white. It needs to kind of adjust how the community is and what the percentage of people they are. And I think that's the problem now. I think, there's a lot of good police that want to do good, but one thing about the police is you can't go against your fellow police officer under any circumstance, even if they are wrong. It's kind of like you got to stick together. And, it only takes a few bad apples to spoil the bunch. So here you got a few bad apples that make the whole police force around the country look bad. And I hope they understand that. I hope they see, like, well, look, I'm not like that. I wouldn't pull somebody over and just do that. You're wrong. And even if they can't say it publicly, they have to say it within themselves so that they can fix themselves. It's a broken system. The judicial system is a broken system in America. And it was based on the judicial system was based on when we were still slaves and these laws. So things are different now. There's equality out here, there's supposed to be. So the laws need to be adjusted. The Constitution needs to be adjusted. And I don't know why it's not. I don't know why we don't take a look at that, but that's the truth.
Well, there was a sweep, a gang sweep that happened in Boston, where 48 people got arrested, and your name was somehow connected with that whole thing. Can you talk about that at all?
I mean, my name was connected to almost every, a lot of sweeps in Boston. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Boston is a small community. Everybody knows everybody. So there's a 6 degrees of separation with everybody. You know what I'm saying? when we grown up in the projects and we grown up right on top of each other, everybody knows everybody. Whether they're enemies or friends, everybody knows everybody in the hoods. And I'm sure it's like that everywhere. Me being in hip hop and me being in the entertainment, then of course all these people are gonna try to come to me, and whether it's advice, whether it's to get on, whether it's to get in the studio, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? There's not too many people in Boston that's actively making it in the entertainment world. So of course Benzino's gonna come up, you know, a lot. That's gonna happen, you know what I'm saying? My name gets brought up, but you know, it is what it is because I'm not out there doing anything. I've changed my life from that, you know, and I don't indulge in that, you know what I'm saying? I got legal businesses going on now. So, but I don't knock anybody that's doing it because I understand. I was right there, you know what I'm saying? But I don't worry about getting caught up in anybody's sweeps, indictments, or anything because I'm not doing anything wrong, you know.
So with that whole situation, were you questioned by police, and did they try to get you on anything?
No. You know, I think a lot of times they know not to question me because they understand that I get lawyered up. They understand that I'll you know, I'll sue a motherfucker quick if my rights are violated. So, you know, I'm sure they know by now, after all these years, they have to come correct with Zeno. Like, they got to have all their I's dotted and their T's crossed. They just can't come with no bullshit. So, you know what I'm saying? My name's on it got brought up, but that ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That's happened so many times. At the end of the day, a lot of these guys are my friends, you know what I'm saying, associates. But because they're my friends and associates, that don't mean that whatever, you know what I'm saying, is being done, I'm doing it with them.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned suing the police. Have you ever done that before?
You know, when I got dragged in the mall that time, I was going to, and then even in Miami, you know, I got pulled out the car. Miami was crazy. I'm driving down a Ferrari, pulled me by my afro out the car. We're fighting, this gun falls, and like 7 other cops. I mean, there was a few times where I was going to sue. I remember Al Sharpton came up to, when I did 60 days up in Boston, up there because they kind of unlawfully locked me up for the 60 days. And I mean, there's just been so much stuff, man. It's crazy, Vlad. You know what I'm saying? But I just know my rights. I know my rights, and then, you know, I'm not scared to pay that lawyer, you know what I'm saying, that bag, you know, to basically protect my rights.
Yeah. I mean, you have not guilty tattooed across your chest.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've went through a lot of trials, federal trials, you know what I'm saying, a lot of trials, you know, attempted murder trials, drug trials, you know, like I've been in, you know, luckily I've been found not guilty in most of them. It's nothing to brag about, but at the end of the day, you know, I mean, it feels good, you know what I'm saying? I'm not locked up, I'm not caged up, man. I mean, come on, there's over 2 million people locked up in America, more than any country in the world. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure they're looking at me as maybe one that got away. Who knows? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I ain't done no real time behind bars, but, you know, I'm not trying to either, especially at this point of my life. I'm 51 now, so I ain't got too much time left in me, you know what I'm saying, to be locked up right now.
Sure. Like, if you look at all the money you spent on lawyers throughout your life, how much you think?
Millions.
Millions? I mean, you spent millions on lawyers.
Yeah, because the federal tax case was a few $100,000. You know, trying to get the source back was a whole bunch of money. The federal thing, copyright infringement with the whole Eminem situation, that was a lot of money. You know, and all these other different cases and everything, and money I had to spend for some of my guys' lawyers. And I mean, yeah, man, like, come on, like, I spent a lot of money on lawyers. You know, when me and Dave fell with the source, you know what I'm saying, all the money that I had left went really to lawyers just to keep me out here.
What do you think about the whole situation?
Man, my point of view, man, I really feel like they tried to paint a bad picture on my brother and tried to make him look like he was a hater. It was some envy, jealousy type shit, you know what I'm saying? And actuality, you know what I'm saying? Bro been having this shit, man. He been in the condo.
I got my hat on and I had my Coke bottles up under my hat. And I'm sitting at the dinner table like an asshole with the hat on, knowing she gonna tell me to take it off. And I'm just sitting there just gawping down, you know, in my zone. She said, take that goddamn hat off at the dinner table. I'm like, come on, Mom. Coke everywhere.